Am I the asshole? For telling my autistic coworker that he wasn't invited? I work with a guy that told us right away that he is autistic in order for us not to question his unusual behavior, like his special interest in Barbie dolls. There is nothing wrong with that, and we refused to admit him there. He said that my dad was old, and that injecting unnecessary medicines would just cause him more suffering and prolong it. That he deserved to pass away peacefully at home. I told him that was ridiculous and that I am going to get him treated. He flipped out at that and said he should be the one making the decision as he's older and that I have no idea what I am talking about. I said I don't care, and that he can't stop me from getting my father medical treatment. He and his girlfriend protested, but I wouldn't budge. He asked me how I would pay the money as it would be really expensive. I told him I will use what I can, but that I would mortgage the house by asking my father to give me power of attorney if funds were low. He was conscious even though he was really unwell. He got mad at that and said I can't threaten to spend his inheritance or blackmail him, and to mind my language. But as I wouldn't back down, he reluctantly agreed with it. He didn't accompany me immediately but showed up to the hospital later to check on him, etc. He was also having a long conversation with my dad in private with his girlfriend and seemed to care a lot now. But he's not talking to me because he said I don't know how to respect him and that I was being really discourteous, etc. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. X200B. 1. I realize it might be an uncomfortable conversation to have, but you need to discuss this with your father and see what he would like to do regarding treatment. X200B. 2. Your brother is a huge jar not only because he is not entitled to anything your dad has, but the fact that your dad is not even dead and all he can think is how much money he gonna get is just not the asshole. And this, people, is why you should always have power of attorney and power of medical attorney papers drawn up as soon as you can. I hope your dad can tell you what he wants and get those papers signed along with a DNR. Except dad. You and your brother need to both sit with him and discuss this now. How does he want to pass? And if the house is written as his inheritance, then you can't mortgage it against both their wishes. Time to stop thinking about rudeness. This is literally life and death. You have to face it yourself one day, and the courtesy of doing so before they die is important. Your dad is still alive, so it is his asset, not your brother's inheritance, nor yours to mortgage. You don't mention any competency issues for your father if he is competent enough to sign a power of attorney. He is also currently competent enough to make his own decisions about a mortgage. ESH. Why are you and your brother not even consulting your father about what he wants? Info. How old is your father? ESH. What does your dad want? I see no mention of what he wants. Neither of you seem to have actually taken the effort to talk to him, considering he is conscious. ESH. 1. Talk with your dad about what he wants to do. 2. Don't talk to your brother about what he wants to do for your dad. ESH. Accept your dad. It is his decision. You're the asshole. Neither of you have even talked to your dad about treatment, but certainly have ironclad opinions. He's of sound mind. He gets to decide how he's treated. He gets to decide how it's paid for. He gets to decide if the house is mortgaged. You both suck. If the hospital has a palliative care team, get them involved. It's their job to help patients and families discuss end-of-life care. If they don't have it, speak with his physician. Bottom line is, if your father is competent, the decision is his. I would ask your dad what he wants. But he's not talking to me because he said I don't know how to respect him. Your brother is a lot of significant and negative choice words, and I wouldn't trust him to not do something wicked behind your back. Take legal precautions now, and your brother needs to kick rocks. It's entirely likely he's refusing treatment for your dad so he dies sooner, and gets his money. That's the only reason he and his GF showed up now. It was concern for the cash. Not the asshole. ESH, you should study palliative care. You're the asshole, and a huge one. If your father doesn't want care and wants to live out his final days at home because he's unwell, the right thing to do is contact a palliative care physician and discuss hospice. If he's that unwell, forcing medical care on him is cruel and inhumane. Let your father die with dignity if those are his wishes. Forcing him to get care he doesn't want is so incredibly selfish of you. Your brother is right, you are so profoundly wrong. Your brother didn't want your dad to have medical treatment because he didn't want to spend his inheritance on it. That's as cold as fuck. Your poor dad isn't even dead yet. TBH, I'd be watching bro very carefully around your dad. Not the asshole. Needs more info. How old is your dad? What is he sick with? What does your dad want regarding treatment? This shouldn't be up to either of you unless your father is unable to make decisions, and then decisions should be made with his wants in mind. It seems like you are both thinking only of yourself, although your brother is definitely the asshole for the comment about the inheritance. Nah, tough decision. Not sure if he's being callous to be greedy or if you're planning to blow money in a futile effort. You're the asshole judging by your comments. All I hear is me, and even if your father chose no treatment, you would force him for your own benefit. After reading your comments, I am going with ESH. Except your father. Your brother is being greedy and only thinking about the money. However, you are also in the wrong for not asking your father what he wants. In a situation like this where he is doing poorly and most likely won't make it very long, it is up to the person who is ill to decide what they do. If he wants to go, then that is his choice, and as hard as it would be, you have to let him go. If he chooses treatment, then again, his decision. It's not yours or your brother's decision to make. Not the asshole. Your brother wants your father to die for his inheritance. I've seen it far more often than you'd think. It's disgusting what money does to people. Is he sick with a treatable condition? This is so vague. As in, if he's sick with something he could recover from with treatment, you brother is a complete monster. If you're pushing your father into having chemo to extend his life for 6 months, that should only be done if your father wants it. It's hard to say who's right with the details you gave. Info: what's your dad's stance on all of this? What does he want? Does he want treatment or does he want to pass peacefully? In the end, it's his opinion that matters and not your brother's or yours. You both need to talk to your dad about this together. It's your dad's choice. I personally would not want to create unnecessary medical bills for my family just to buy a little more time, especially if the quality of that time is going to be poor. ESH, assuming your dad is of sound mind, what he wants is all that should matter. Have you asked him? ESH. This is your father's choice. Not the asshole, and your brother is but it's a decision from your dad. What your dad wants. You're the asshole. You're selfish for making decisions for someone that could very well be capable of making his own decisions. If your father is at peace with the inevitable, then it's not up to you to decide otherwise. You should have asked your father instead of taking things in your own hands. ESH, but given the circumstances, I understand your position. This is the kind of discussion that you should have when your parents are still healthy. There are quite a few elderly with a DNR, but the family should know about it. I knew my mother would never want to be in a care home and wouldn't want to be given CPR. In the end, she was able to choose her own time to leave us, and it helped knowing she was ready to go. Just be glad your father isn't a widow in India, being declared dead and inherited from without waiting for them to actually die. This is not your decision or your brother's. It's your dad's. ESG. Your dad is conscious. It is his decision. Stop being brats and worrying about your inheritance. Find out what your dad wants to do. Not the asshole. Sounds like your brother wants the house. Not the asshole. X200B. Your dad's house will be used to pay for his treatment. Well done.